Hello friends, welcome back, and today we're jumping into more IDontWorkHereLady stories, where people get mistaken for being workers by some real oblivious people. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get into it, guys. Pour water on me, lose your money. So I have a hobby-like job working for a casino party company. They get contracted by companies to come out and set up some casino tables, so their employees can fake gamble just for fun during their parties and events. Most of the time, employees buy tickets, like one ticket for $50 and a ticket is worth $2,000 in fake chips, and that's how they play. You can then turn in your chips for prize tickets and go through a raffle to win prizes at the end. It's a lot of fun and easy money for someone in college like yours truly. We had a gig last night at a nice hotel ballroom, for a really good company too. I won't list the name. We're required to dress in all black with a button-up shirt and slacks. We look just like the actual staff of the hotel, but with the name tag with our owner's casino parties text on it. So I can sort of see why I'd be mistaken for the hotel staff. Cue in a really good night, having fun, good people, good table dealing. I swap out with someone to freely take a break, walk about, and grab a drink of water. Now here's where it goes completely downhill. What looks to be a 30-year-old woman comes to me and asks for a refill on her drink. It goes a little bit like this. We'll call her Thick Skull. "Excuse me, could I ask you to refill drink? I'll be right here." "Sorry, I don't work here. I'm one of the dealers at the tables. I can grab someone for you though." "You're clearly in the waitstaff uniform. I know you work here. I've seen you help others." Lied to my face. I was at my table all night. "I'm sorry, but I really can't serve you. Let me grab someone who can." "You do work here." She stepped on my foot as I stepped away. I then took my foot back, and now I was a little pissed, because I'm wearing some nice shoes here that I paid for, and I am proud of that because I am poor as crap. And I say, "Okay, look, I've told you I don't work here. You can find someone else. Hopefully you won't step on them." She now grabs the attention of an actual waitstaff member and asks her to grab the manager, and she hesitantly does, and I was actually stunned. "You do understand I don't work here," I said. "Keep saying that to me, you'll regret it," said Thick Skull. Here the manager came. "Everything okay, ma'am?" This man refuses to serve me the drinks I asked for. He looks at me and asked my name, and I pointed at my name tag and told him, and he immediately knew I didn't work there. "I'm sorry, but he doesn't work here. Can I get your drink?" She freaks out at this, like full-blown screeches. "This is stupid. I'm not an idiot." She proceeds to grab my water and flings it at me, and it gets all over me. The manager says, "Ma'am, we do not act like this here, and I'm asking you to leave. Leave." She starts throwing what I can only say is a tantrum, and then gets escorted out by the security they had on site. The table she was at had 10 of her tickets. 10. She also had redeemed some earlier too. That's over $500 she spent, with no prizes. She waited until after the party was over to speak to my manager, so about 2 hours when we were breaking down the setup, and demanded a refund. He denied her and said she can go on her merry way, and told her the exact reason she couldn't was because she dumped water on his employee, and he won't stand for that. She stormed out after bickering for what seemed forever. You think we can afford her? This happened many years ago. Think a year or two after the 2008 recession started. Setting is a retail drugstore chain, one open 24 hours a day. Despite being a big business, we're still feeling the effects of the recession. Everyone still has a job, but hours are being cut. I'm a shift supervisor working the closing 2 to 11 p.m. shift. The overnight supervisor and cashier have arrived. I'm in the office talking to the overnight supervisor when I get a call for a manager needed up front. I leave the office to handle the situation. For context, I'm female, so is the overnight supervisor. Both cashiers are male. Once I get up front, both cashiers are ringing customers up and tell me the complaining customer left. I notice there's a line and decide to help. As I'm ringing up a customer, let's call her Jane, a middle-aged man, let's call him John, walks in and angrily tells me he needs to talk to me. I tell him, "No problem, let me finish with my customer." John starts anyway. "Your employee said she's going to call the police on me for having a disability placard, but I don't look disabled." John has an accent. On the surface, John does not look disabled. Which one? I ask, pointing to my 2 cashiers. A woman. She said it's her job to manage disabled parking. Jane begins to giggle at this point. Whoever she was, she doesn't work for us, I said. She said she works for you. Sir, there are only 2 females on duty at this moment, one of them being me. The other I was talking to in the office when you asked for a manager. If you'd like, I can call her out to the front and you can see if it was her. Now, the shopping center does have security guards. However, last I checked, they're all male. I want to file a complaint about her and get her fired. Jane decides to chime in. Sir, we're in the middle of a recession. People are losing jobs and getting their hours cut. You really think the store has a lot of money lying around for that meaningless position? The gears in John's head finally start to turn. She doesn't work for you? No, she doesn't. Can I kick her ass? I have no say in it. I'm going to go kick her ass. Enjoy, I say, waving goodbye. I finish ringing up Jane, who's still trying to hold back giggles, and she says, for a moment I thought, wow, you guys must be making a boatload of money to hire someone for that small job. About 15 minutes later, I clock out and head to my car. John's driving his car and rolls his window down. She's still driving around here. I'll kick her ass. I wave by. Don't know if John ever got the chance to kick her ass that night. Kidnapped by store security and shoved to the ground by a Karen. This happened about a week and a half ago. It was a pretty normal Saturday and I was running errands at the local Mart of Wall store. Part of my honey-do list. You know how it is. I had just finished grabbing a few items when I felt a tap on my shoulder. Turning around, I was met with the glare from a woman who surprisingly looked nothing like a typical Karen. She was dressed in a pretty plain outfit, something gray if memory serves, long hair and a ponytail. Nothing Karenish that I could see. Excuse me, where can I find the kitchen appliances? She sounded polite enough, even though she had started the conversation by touching me, something I am not a huge fan of. Normally the presence of my wife keeps strange women from touching me, but she was at home. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't actually work here, I replied politely, gesturing to my red shirt, which was clearly not the store's traditional blue uniform. But Karen wasn't having it. Don't give me that nonsense. I saw you stocking shelves earlier. Now where are the kitchen appliances? I had not stocked any shelves. I hadn't even put back anything I bought, which I clearly told her. She was having none of it and told me I was a lazy, useless worker. She might even be right, but I wasn't a lazy, useless employee of this store. Wife and I own our own business. You'd have to ask her about my usefulness. I tried to explain once again that I was just another customer, but Karen still wasn't having any of it. With sound like a cat ready to vomit, she stormed off. I assumed to find someone who actually worked there, leaving me feeling confused and slightly annoyed. I shrugged it off and continued with my shopping, hoping to avoid any further encounters with the strange, angry little woman, but she clearly had other plans. As I made my way down the next aisle, Karen reappeared, this time accompanied by a big security guard. I am a large man, 6 foot and over 250 pounds, but this guy towered over me. She pointed at me accusingly and exclaimed, "That's him. He refused to help me and was incredibly rude." Before I could even speak to defend myself, the security guard grabbed my arm firmly. "You're coming with me to see store manager," leaving his name out since he had no part in this. "You can't treat customers like that," he said with the authoritative voice reserved for those without actual authority. I protested what was rapidly devolving into my kidnapping, trying to explain that I didn't work at the store and that Karen had mistaken me for an employee. But the security guard was having none of it. He dragged me towards the front of the store, ignoring my protests. As we reached the checkout area, chaos erupted. Other customers stared in disbelief as I was manhandled by the security guard, all because of a ridiculous misunderstanding. I was shouting to let go of me, that this was illegal. You can't just grab people and drag them wherever you want. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Karen lunged forward and shoved me. And as was my luck of the day, since the guard had my arm, I was already off balance. I tripped over his big-ass feet and was sent sprawling to the ground. Uninjured, but I hopped up fighting mad. Now we were all going to have a bad day. The store manager, who had been alerted to the commotion, arrived on the scene before I could start throwing hands and quickly assessed the situation. Karen shouted that I had attacked her in an aisle, and that's why I was being arrested. and I threatened her before the manager came out, so she just gave me a little push to keep me away from her. The security guard had let go of me and was looking a little uncomfortable, since he just heard her tell 2 lies. He knew it wasn't looking good for him. The manager asked if we could all come to the office to wait for the police, who had been called already. The security guard, probably hoping to save his ass, tried to pull us both along, when I told him to take his hands off me or I was pressing charges. The manager turned around and told him to knock it off. I have no idea why Karen didn't run after hearing the police were called. She knew her story was BS. We waited for the police to arrive, which surprisingly took a very short time. We hadn't even sat down in the office. After reviewing security footage and speaking with witnesses, it became clear that Karen's accusations were bunk, and that she was the one who had instigated the altercation. The police never even asked if I wanted to press charges. They just cuffed Karen up and led her away. I wanted them to arrest the security guard too, but some legal mumbo-jumbo was spouted, and the manager assured me he would take care of the security guard. I assume that means he is fired, but I really don't know. The cops have my name and contact in case they need me to testify. Aside from the Karen being crazy as usual, that security guard was obviously in the wrong. In many situations, from what I understand, a lot of security guards aren't allowed to actually touch people. They're more or less just supposed to call the police, and aren't actually able to physically intervene in situations. I'm sure it varies, of course, but I'd be willing to bet a Walmart security guard is definitely not qualified to lay hands on someone. And people in the comments are pointing out that this is 100% a risk of a lawsuit. So even though we don't know how the manager actually took care of the security guard, in the moment he was probably more so just trying to get OP off their backs to avoid any potential lawsuits. This is drugstore. We don't sell fast food. This just happened today and I'm having a nice laugh over it. I'm a shift supervisor for a retail drugstore chain. For a reference, we have a drive-thru, but it is for pharmacy. People pick up their prescriptions through it. I'm working when we get a call. For some reference, the voice on the line sounded pretty old, like 70 or 80-year-old woman, so I will call her old woman. Thank you for calling drugstore, OP speaking, how may I help you? I just went through your drive-thru. I ordered 2 hot dogs, but one of them was a hamburger. Politely interrupting, I say, this is drugstore. We don't sell fast food. You've dialed the wrong number. No, I didn't. You got my order wrong. This is drugstore. We don't sell fast food. You have the wrong number. This went back and forth for a minute. I'm calling corporate. Hang up. My store is part of a national chain in the USA. None of our stores nor do any of our competitors sell fast food. I'm also well aware this could have been a prank. When you call the store, a machine answers asking you to say or press a number for a certain department. Yeah, it certainly could have just been a prank, but also possibly just a very confused elderly person. But I also find it a bit funny that OP feels the need to clarify to us at the end that chain drugstores don't sell fast food. Is that not obvious already? I mean, let me know if there's actually a place out there where someone can pick up their meds with the side of chicken nuggets at the same time. Anyway, friends, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit shenanigans. So stay awesome, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.